Welcome back to another LinuxGameCast Weekly, the show that covers the latest Linux gaming news, reviews, and most importantly, whatever the hell else we come up with. This week is no exception. Mountain Blade mixed with the Linux. Giggity. Crysis counts to Z. They don't deny it, but unpaid workers are unpaid, and WiSoccer is out of beta. Thousands of adoring fan reportedly excited.
Intel talks to AMD about getting the Mantle, but will they just get the crust? Sintel needs your help, or rather, her developers do. And Greenlight is back with a vengeance. Hear its battle cry!
Speaking of farts, the head of Sony Worldwide Studios America talks about Valve wanting in on the living room action. It was much more boring than it sounds. Metro Redux pre-orders are now in full swing. 4A Games wants more of your Linux monies, and they keep on getting mine. And Dungeon of Elements is now out for Linux. I, for one, was deceived by how similar that title was to Temple of Elemental Evil.
And that voice you just heard was the giggling death, the terror of Portugal himself, Pedro A.S., and also from the great white hot steamy north, Mr. Huang.
Mr. Huang!
How's it going, buddy? Where's that mic on?
Where's that mic arm? I don't know. The fucking postal service ate it. So I had a lovely conversation about hamburgers with the guy who ran Q Mike.
That's brilliant, P-Man.
Okay. So yeah, my boss, I went to a meeting yesterday, and my boss gave me his Raspberry Pi. It's the A version, which means you get no Ethernet, no nada. So I just have to hook up like a Wi-Fi dongle to it and make sure that Firefox can run, let's say, about 9 iframes, each one refreshing about 1 second. Once every second.
Good luck running Firefox on a Pi.
That all sounds brilliant. Let me reach down here. Over here in Vinland, we got a new pair of shoes.
For those audio listeners, these are a pair of sexy boots.
Ah.
Like these are like fuck me boots. You know what I'm talking about.
They're fuck me boots. They have straps all over.
Yeah.
Got a good price on that. I wasn't planning on spending that much, but my Amazon rewards card, as it does every few months, chimes in and says, "Hey, you have all this rewards monies. Would you like to?" Yes. So we took care of that business, and also the Uverse, the AT&Ts. I'm swimming in new upload bandwidth by the tune of 1 whole megabit.
Ooh.
An amount that they didn't even bother mentioning because they're like, all right, fine.
I think someone maybe fell asleep at the control bar, hit something, and didn't notice.
Well, before we get into this PSA and the steamy news, we need to pay some bills. P-Man?
Yeah, speaking of bills and all that stuff, I got into, goat artificial insemination, and I want to start a discussion board, sort of a forum. I already got the URL for it and everything. It's called goatstimulator.com, but I'm kind of expecting a high influx of people. Where can I find a goat-friendly hosting company?
Well, Pedro, you moronic slut, you can check out hostgator.com. They give you some lovely fucking deals right there. Unlimited web hosting, $3.96 a month. But that you can get 20% off. Ven, you think that's a reasonable amount of money?
Well, we've come to love Schnappy and his abilities because, as J-Man said, unlimited disk space, bandwidth, real tech support, people who call you back if need be, and 20% off.
Even if you just need a hug over the phone.
They will give you an alligator hug, and it's as painful as it sounds, but it's still very lovely and kind of hot. But we can do better than that. I will add this in post, but if you enter our offer code, LGC Weekly FTW.
Actually, isn't it just LinuxGameCast FTW?
It is now, because I changed the offer codes around. Let's just use the old one from last week. LinuxGameCast FTW. And that stands
Fuck the world.
Not for the win at checkout, and you will receive not $9.99 off your purchase, but $9.94. So, PSA time.
Yay! Tell us, Uncle Vin. Tell us.
Well, this is
It's Icklebutts.
Icklebutts.
Woo.
Not a whole lot to show here for the video listeners, but Ryan C. Gordon, you know him as Iculus, he gave a talk about the Linux game industry itself 2014. This basically goes through and covers like the 5 major events from, the big ones from kind of the genesis of serious Linux gaming that happened way back in 99. Not when Valve got released, like some of the YOLO swag seem to think, our new breed of Linux gaming experts.
But back when Icklebutts was the Linux gaming industry.
Well, as one of his fantastic stories is one of his friends who now works for the Epic, and he called him, even at big parties, he would introduce him, and he's like, oh, and here's my friend, the Linux gaming industry. Did you like any particular parts?
I did. You mentioned in the notes that you were surprised they didn't throw Humble under the bus because they don't particularly care about the whole multi-platform thing anymore. But he did address it. He did say not so much the case anymore, and to me that's about as close as it comes to biting the hand that pays you bills without actually getting sacked.
Well, speaking of sacks, how's our horse doing this week?
Our horse.
Our horse.
Our horse. Our horse is looking a bit rusty. Maybe we should put him back into training. Maybe we should redux him. But it's Steam
Linux
Update
of the
week. So, Greenlight's back with a vengeance, and it's puking up some stuff.
Yay.
Good.
Yay. Here are enthusiastic cheers. I didn't really give this list a good look, but I did notice Ensign 1 is on there. Made by a friend of the show, Brandon Smith. Yep. Apparently, you can imagine a world where Ven Stone voice acts in more than one game.
Yes.
P-Man, did you see anything in there that gave you a chubby?
Chubby, I did see one game that I really want to play, Insomnia RPG. It looks very Fallout-ish, and that tickles my fancy. What I saw a lot of was actually a ton of Unity games that are available either Windows only or Windows and Mac, because fuck Linux.
Well, the Desura sale is like going on like crazy.
Yeah. Oh, and there's also RC Mini Racers from the Ubuntu Software Center, the Revolt clone. If you know what Revolt is, you're kind of awesome. And there's Void Space, the Dogecoin MMORPG type thing.
So I think it's sound to say that we're all ecstatic about this latest round of awesomeness about to hit our face organ. Sony.
Yes. This was kind of interesting as soon as I read the title, but when I actually read the article, I'm like, well, that was disappointing. So Sony's head of, he's got a big title. Sony head of Worldwide Studios, Scott Rode, from the Worldwide Studios in America. He said
Worldwide Studios in America.
Yes. He had a lot to say regarding the PS4 and how the PS4 fared at E3. But by the end, the guy from Ars did ask him about the Steam machines and what sort of impact could people expect from the Steam machines on the market. And he said, he asked the guy from Ars, is it the kind of thing Sony sees as a potential competitor? And he said, the short answer is maybe someday. It's not meant to be an arrogant statement. It's not something that we're saying, oh yeah, we're not worried about them. I think we're always interested in anything that comes into this space because it's fascinating to all of us. It doesn't feel like an immediate concern, but it's an interesting technology. That sounds very
a calm, measured, and entirely logical response. Where's the fun in that?
I mean, I don't get it, man. I mean, our inferior PC technology can only hope to maybe catch up to the yet-to-be fully tapped ultimate power of the PS4 YOLO swag 60 frames a second.
They are gonna release that patch that like doubles the RAM and like triples the processor.
Yeah, man, it's just a matter of time, bro.
It really is untapped power because the consoles have been out for almost a year, if not longer, and
Pedro, the 2-year-old laptop hardware they're based on has been out for like 15 years.
Yeah. But yeah, the console's been out for almost a year or more than a year, and the PS4 in itself has less than 200 games that run on it. And if the whole games drive adoption mantra is still valid, they may be kind of scared that if the Steam machines hit with 540 something games already available,
predicting 700 by end of year.
Yeah.
But how many of those
Valve
are like
time.
shitty Unity games?
689 of them.
Yes, exactly.
That's the problem. It's the free market thing that Valve's going for is probably going to hurt them with the initial adoption, at least. Because everyone's like, oh, it's got a whole lot of games, but they're mostly shit. I'm not buying that.
Yeah, and I mean, like, to be fair, Sony has really nothing to worry about this at this point in time. They won the last console war. They outright steamrolled Microsoft. So it's entirely logical for them to say, well, we'll see when it comes out. And that's true. I mean, we do a lot of speculation here. But speaking of not speculation.
Yes, not speculation and not so shitty games.
Redux.
Metro, the Redux bundle. So you get both Metro 2033 Redux and Metro Less Light Redux with Linux versions. Look at the penguin right there. Yes.
That's two for the price of one.
Yep, it's if you have either if you have the previous versions of either Less Light or 2033, you get 50% off until during the pre-order window. After that, you're going to have to pay full price if you want. So if you really want in on that sweet 2033 action on Linux right now, it's a pretty
Definitely got to
good
go with what you said in the notes there, P-Man, because, Last Light Redux, I'm like, I can probably pass on that. But, 2033, and yes, this is pre-purchase, but this is coming. These guys are solid. Really our first AAA title, and I'm going to throw 24.99 wet stinky moon caches in their face so hard they're gonna taste it. J-Man.
Yeah, normally we don't pimp pre-orders, but I mean Deep Silver's been doing it right, so give them your money.
Mm-hmm. Talk about people doing it right.
Oh, speaking of doing it right, Gary chimes in on the Twitter. He says, "Sorry, we're not included in the Steam sale. We're in early development. We don't want to encourage people to buy right now." That's a surprisingly highbrow response from Gary, who has some issues with women. I'm still waiting on the female player models for Rust.
Yes.
No, I mean, I was looking at this, and my second thought, my first thought was like, seriously, good on him. Then I went back and thought, maybe they just need some more money. But then later, Gary was like, I've sold 100,000 copies of Gary's mod this one. I was like, seriously, they're not hurt for money, so good on them for not.
And Rust is like the 4th or 5th most sold game on Steam right now.
Apparently, people are all about the caveman dicks.
Yep.
I for one, have newfound respect for the caveman Peni.
Good times.
Speaking of Peni, how about we talk about some mounting and some blades?
Giggity. Mountain Blade Warband. What is this? You've never heard of it? In a land torn asunder by, incessant warfare. It's time to assemble your own band, and this is just going to be a story and not tell me shit about the game. What you do is you run around, whack, whack, stab, stab, medieval, hop on horse, ride horse some more, stab, stab, build shit.
Kill shit simulator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll take a look
faffing
at
around the simulator.
I've only made it about 10 minutes into this game, not because I thought it was a particularly bad game. It is just for me personally. I was like, this came out in 2010. It kind of looks like it came out in like 2004, graphic wise. I mean, it's even the video's even in 4:3, man. Not the game, but the video here on Steam. J-Man, you said you didn't have that problem. It was more about the game.
No, I actually like Mountain Blade. I was a big fan of Luguru when that first came out in the first Humble Bundle, and this very much reminds me of it. You run around and kill shit. It's fun. My first playthrough though, I screwed up something pretty fierce, so I had to restart my game because I said, "Fuck it, I'm not gonna try and recover from this. Let's just start from the beginning."
Yeah,
but yeah, like what do you call it? All I need is either Chivalry or War of the Roses. I have my medieval kill shit quota filled.
I tried playing a little bit of Mountain Blade Warband, and the only thing it did was make me realize how much I'd like Chivalry medieval warfare to be on Linux.
You know what? I'm kind of looking forward to when they port the other Mountain Blade games if they're gonna do that, because that'll add some oomph to the otherwise rather lacking Linux catalog on Steam.
I just think if eventually Smell-O-Vision becomes a thing, medieval warfare games not going to be on anyone's list. But you can pick
unless you like the smell of shit.
Right. Regular price for this is $19.99. Wet Stinky Cash is 66% off, $6.79. For probably after this show comes out, you're not going to be able to get it. Collector's edition. Maybe if you want 34. And it's in beta, we should say that. But
yeah, it is a beta.
Performance-wise, no real serious problems. Sometimes it will not close when I try to close it. That's about the only real thing I ran into.
I remember that.
I really didn't notice anything. I read the Steam forums, and people were having issues with it not closing and the resolution not setting properly, and a couple other things. Worked fine here.
Well, I think a horse is done pooping all over this steamy section.
Oh, yeah. All that's left now is to send it back into the dungeon.
Yes. But before we send a horse back, let's talk about Dungeon of the Elements.
Oh, man.
Which I was so very disappointed with. They say it's an RPG dungeon crawler with combat inspired by some of our favorite classic puzzle games like Dr. Mario, Tetris, or Bejeweled. In Dungeon of Elements DOE, yes, because people can make that association, core meets casual, and we combine many different styles.
DOE could stand for Dead Old Ewoks.
I mean, it's very much a
immersive experience.
Let's throw all the different types of games we can throw at the wall and see what sticks. Oh, RPG puzzle game.
Yeah, if Tetris and Bejeweled got married and they had a threesome with RPG elements, this is it.
I like the system requirements. It's like 120 volts of power.
But yeah, you can get it for $9.99 if you're so inclined. But I personally would not recommend it because, let's face it, we want a proper RPG in Linux. We don't want more mobile crap.
Well, somebody asked me 2 or 3 days ago, and they said, what is your genuine fear? And that would be seeing Skyrim show up on Iculus's Trello board.
I think LinuxGameCast would actually be canceled at that point. And you would never see or hear from us ever again.
We were just like, let's relive that 3 years of my life.
But you know what? You're about to never see or hear from this horse again as it's going back into the dungeon. Coming up next, Ben, what do we got?
Probably some news for your face organ, baby.
And we're back. Now that the horse has been sent to the dungeon, we get into some actual news.
Kinky.
And I hear Intel's been making the rounds this week.
Oh yeah, this is some weird stuff from PCWorld.com. Apparently, Intel has been in talks with arch CPU rival AMD. They maybe wanna get a bit of the Mantle access. Mm-hmm. This article just sort of goes on about how Mantle, when optimized for specific games, can contribute to a significant performance increase. Here's the problem about cross-architecture Mantle, is that the idea was that you're targeting one architecture, Radeon, for these massive performance increases. But as you add more and more hardware support, you have to add more and more abstraction, which of course just turns this into another OpenGL DirectX competitor. And quote the relevant XKCD, we have 14 competing standards. We need to have one unified one. And then there are 15 competing standards. But yeah, no, the first thing I noticed when I was reading that article is Sintel says, we want to stay focused on open standards like Microsoft DirectX API.
Yeah, I was like, wait, DirectX open standard? What?
The biggest thing that worries me about this, all right, brilliant idea if they pull this off. Mantle, we need something to pull together. I look forward to your hate mail, but we have OpenGL. Even Ryan C. Gordon, always we like to call him now, you know, the Linux gaming industry, says working with OpenGL in its current state is still a bit of nightmare fuel. And I like AMD's, like, oh, maybe we don't try this. It's Mantle, close to the metal, really cross-platform. And you can see here that they do say, Adi previously told PC World that AMD would bring its Mantle tech to Linux and Steam boxes, the Linux-based gaming device spearheaded by Valve Software.
Eventually.
The thing that worries me
when I see it.
is there's one thing, as any Linux gamer knows, when you hear AMD, you think, oh, you mean the processor, because fuck all if I'm buying an AMD video card.
Yep.
Yeah.
P-Man's had some experience with their fantastic driver support.
Since
As
2005,
have I.
actually.
It's great. It doesn't work on new kernels because fuck you.
Yeah. 314 kernel? Nope. 315 kernel? Haha. Nice try. But yeah, Ryan actually mentioned in the Self 2014 talk that the next version of OpenGL may have a low-level sort of programming the same way that Mantle does, the same way that Metal does, the same way that all the new technologies are doing. So it remains to be seen whether or not that is the case, or if even there will be a new OpenGL. But we kind of need something.
OpenGL, I mean, fuck all is going to use it because there's a ton of legacy hardware they have to support.
Yeah, well, maybe it'll roll out on the first build release of Mia. But let's talk Crysis. And
can it run Crysis?
Well, can it run accounting?
Well, no, I think they're having a bit of a financial crisis.
Oh, zing. Crysis developer Crytek denies verge of bankruptcy claim. Now, this came out earlier this week. Somebody was like, oh, yeah, we've heard rumors that, you know, Crysis is in trouble and all this business. And Crysis came out and they said, listen,
Crytek, rather.
Well, Crytek, Crysis, can it run it? Can we say it?
Boo-hoo!
Well, the truth is they've been having some problems paying their employees. So maybe that in just a wee bit of credibility, P-Man, I don't know, speculation?
It was pretty much speculation because one of the Crytek studios, Crytek UK, if I'm not mistaken, was rumored to have failed to pay employees in time, and when you start fucking with people's money, it's open season in Conjectureville.
Yeah.
And why am I worried about this? Why are you worried about this?
Well, why am I worried about this? Because this whole new version of CryEngine is supposed to have Linux support natively.
Mm-hmm.
So if this if this goes under the toilet, if this goes in the toilet rather, then we lose quite a few potential games. And there seems to be some rumors floating around the rumor mill that the last CryEngine game to come out, Reese for the, what is it, Xbone 360, whatever?
Yeah,
something like one of these console things. Didn't do all that well, perhaps because they're trying to have a PC game engine run on very, very, very old hardware. But up next, Piscal. Piscal. I had to take a Piscal about 20 minutes ago.
Tell me about it. Never heard of it.
So this is some HTML5 application for it's open source too. It's on GitHub. And it's for making sprites for your hipster pixel games. And as Ben casually put in the notes, making animated GIFs 3 times the size of the games you're trying to copy. Look at that Mega Man. It's gorgeous.
But they do have you just hop right in here from the site. loading your
Yeah.
Piscal,
Piscal.
and do your business and export it.
And it
neat.
works.
Right. Absolutely neat, completely open source. So I, for one, look forward to yet another round of hipster pixel goodness. Where can they pick that up, J-Man?
They can pick that up at Pixel
Picks it
app
up.
or Piscalapp.com. They also have a link to their GitHub page. Check that nonsense out. And like always, all these links in our show notes on LinuxGameCast.com. Go check those out. But it's time to do a barrel roll. This is fucking crazy. This is a first-year university project. These guys have recreated Star Fox for the Super Nintendo 100% in ARMv6L assembly.
Now, does that mean
their...
you don't even need an operating system to play this?
You kind of still need an operating system to play it, just
Kinda.
barely, just to execute the damn program at all. But it's written entirely in ARMv6L ASM, and it's kind of nuts. Ven, you're all a bit concerned with the code quality until you figured out that this was a first year uni project.
Yeah, honestly, when I first wasn't really doing a code audit, I was just looking at it and I was like, yeah, this could really be streamlined. It's like, what children wrote this? Then I found out that it was a first year uni project.
No, it was actual children who wrote this.
Yep.
Golf clap. And I was like, that's a lot better than my first attempt, and I wouldn't even thought to do anything like that. So it's a bit of neat sauce. You might want to play with that on your Pi. So
Yeah.
it's P-Man, I think you said it's no Quake, right? But
Yeah, it's no Quake 3. Ever since they got Quake 3 running on the Pi, it's... Come on, you have a standard to live up to now.
indeed. This thing.
Indeed. Oh,
This
yes.
thing.
So you might remember from a couple years back, Blender Foundation released one of their new movies made entirely using Floss software called Sintel, a lovely story about a girl and her pet that she brutally murders. But there was a game in the works in the same universe about this, and they need your help. It looks like after 3 years of mismanagement and just poor project management in general, they need coders, they need people to flesh out their universe, they want to make this an actual thing still. And I was talking to Ben and Pedro about this before we started the show. Sintel has all the makings of a decent game. You have your female protagonist. Yep. She beats the shit out of dudes. She has her pet dragon. It's a generic fantasy world. All the pieces are there. It's just you gotta put them together in the blender, hit puree, and see what comes out. But they want your money, they want your time, they want your code.
Yeah.
And you gotta remember this is a game that was made on the Blender game engine, which we at Linux Gamecast love. So if you're interested, check that out. Ven, thoughts?
No, with that, yeah, definitely looked at this, and my first thought, definitely right here in the show notes, was like, that's still around. Huh. I wonder what progress they've made since the alpha. And I go there and I was like, it's still that alpha. That kind of really doesn't run all that well. That's running on the Blender game engine, also known as Muddy Input, the engine.
Yes, it was Muddy Input before Unity came around.
Right, this is OG type stuff. But, I'll say this. If you want to get in, get in the Git, help it, fork it, do whatever you want with that. When it comes down to donating what stinky cash to this project has been so horribly mismanaged from Genesis, and
it's a financial black hole.
Almost literally went nowhere in the past couple of years. No progress has been made on it. So use your best judgment before taking a $2 taco challenge with that. So
donate code, not money. At this point, you're better off just donating code.
Or time testing and whatnot.
Or time. Yeah.
But Super Tux Kart.
Go speed
my
races.
God.
Super Tux Kart. Another few words about the track editor. This comes from supertuxkart.blogspot.com. It's the head developer guy saying that he decided to skip the meaningless text about his progress part and just talk about the level editor.
Oh my God,
all the way down.
It's amazing.
Go back to the Steam section, horse. You're not welcome here.
But yeah. So he goes on to say that He's introduced a whole bunch of stuff into the track editor to actually make it have a point.
No,
When
I'm
putting
looking
the
at that.
bits-
4 textures to choose from, 4 brushes, and what
Yeah.
would you
4
expect?
textures to choose from, 4 brushes can be picked, and apparently there's a Windows binary for those of you who use that operating system. If you do, what the hell's wrong
Who
with
play
you?
Super Tux Kart on Windows? All half of you.
And I look forward to there's also a Git, so you can clone that and build it. What's that, Arch user? Oh, you already have it in a repository? Good, because you probably couldn't figure out how to build it yourself.
It's in the AUR, but yeah. It's Super Tux Kart. If you don't know what it is, you probably haven't been gaming on Linux for very long. And truth be told, with the ability to OCD over fractions of seconds in distance, I don't really care about SDK anymore.
Yeah, that's been on you, game. I mean, then again, if they get online multiplayer working before distance does,
Yeah, if the guys from Super Tux Kart actually get their multiplayer working before Refract sorts their shit out, I may pay it some attention now.
but I do have to mention on a
but-
distance thing, I'm very glad that me and Pedro are not competing with minutes or seconds. We've already
Fractions.
we're in the milliseconds with our racing.
Yep.
J-Man?
But why? Well, why then? Why soccer?
Because goal!
Go! So we don't have too many sports ball games on Linux aside from
No,
Football Manager
not
2014
at all. No, this
and
is
virtual curling.
why
And
soccer?
Foosball.
Since
We got the
football, only hipsters call it football. This is all the rage right now. Unless you're hiding under a rock, then you can. The game formerly known as Yoda Soccer, that would have I would have kept that name, has left beta and has been unleashed upon the classic pixel soccer. Right, the massive pixel soccer gaming industry has patiently been waiting. Why Soccer 14? If you've never played it, so it's out, it's free, it's open source. There's a couple of mentions to open football, open world soccer, and things that never really got off the rut. And so
That's Genesis level graphics right there.
that's like SNES, man, definitely.
But again, aside from curling simulator, you don't have much of a choice in the way of sports games on Linux. Although curling
Foosball.
simulator did get the light gun support in, so now you can actually go build a log cabin and shoot yourself.
You got the
That's
new
been brilliant.
foosball game that showed up on Steam during the sale. It was like 99 cents. I picked it up and still haven't tried it.
So we'll be looking for that.
And
that
then-
comes
and that's
from
all you need to say about that game.
freegamer.blogspot.de. So give that business a shot if you're into the sports ball type things. But that's going to do it for our news, J-Man. Do we have anything special coming up for the lovely children?
Coming up next, we're reviewing Boat Simulator 2013. Well, folks, you begged, you screamed, you cried, you pleaded, and finally the G-Meister delivered. It's Goat Simulator for Linux! Cue fanfare. This is from Coffee Stain Studios, built on the venerable Unreal 3 engine. You can pick this up for €9.99 or what stinky space bucks. That is 40% off until the 30th of June. It is June this month, right? Yeah,
Mhm.
that's
It
the
is.
thing. So, what is it? Well, I guess the real question about this game is, what isn't it? You're a goat. You're running around. You're beating stuff up. You're attaching your tongue to airplanes and going flying. This is basically Fuck Around Simulator 2014, and it's glorious. This is something that started off as an April Fool's joke and then is slowly turning into a legitimate game. It's kind of crazy. And for those of you who think it's in beta, there was this tweet or post or whatever. Hey goats, long-awaited Mac and Linux ports are finally available for everyone to enjoy. We've been working long and hard, blah, 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 blah. Port has a few issues. Contact Icklebutts at Icklebutts or Bugzilla at bugzilla.icklebutts.com. So, of course, like every review, we have to run it through the gauntlet. The chairquisition! And of course,
Bring
our
forth.
categories... or rather our rating system of craziness. 1 chair means it's shit, 2 chairs means that it's meh, 3 chairs means that it's pretty good, and 4 chairs means shut up and take my money. So then,
Well,
Thanks
we
for
got
working.
categories.
Oh yes, we have
yes.
categories, don't we? Categories of doom, mixed with the working, shiny, and sounds, controls, and fun. And we average these out, toss them in a blender, give you our final score, and that will let you know whether you should go and buy this game or not. So then, mixed with the working.
How does it make with the working on our minimum test system box? Because I still haven't got around to doing it on the Steam box and upgrading. But Ubuntu 1204 32-bit, fuck you, that's why, dual 770, powered box of business. Two things. It currently still nopes when I change zones, so I can see the city and all the fun shit over there, but I cannot has. It is not mine. It hard nopes, known problems, you know, Goat Simulator, Bugzilla, Iculus, all that. I've been reading the reports, and here's kind of the one big one. The noping I can understand. I can wait on that. I'm a patient one. This one caused a bit of damage on the review here, is it does not save your progress. This is also a known bug, in the Linux build at least. And I learned this after I had collected 15 fuck-mothering trophies. I was like, woo, I've unlocked 2 of the modifiers, the mutators, but it's like, no, you haven't. Not when you start it back up. Fuck you, that's why.
Yep.
So for that reason, I'm going to give it 3 chairs for mix with working, J-Man.
Well, I mean, you can't really expect all games to run perfectly smoothly on the open source AMD drivers, especially when you're running an APU using a modern kernel. But it's still a bit unplayable. The frame rate is really, really low. You can still do stuff. It's just a bit awkward. But on the NVIDIA box, this 1090Ti GTX 670 superclocked Fedora 2060 4-bit powered beastie by my feet right here. It runs stupidly well. Yeah, I'm a bit pissed off that you can't save your goddamn game, because it's always a pain in the ass. Oh, I gotta start from the beginning. I got the Angel Devil Goat, and now I don't. I got Dead Goat. Oh, but I had to step away from the computer. Now I don't. It's a bit annoying. Doesn't really detract from the game's experience all that much. So I'm gonna give that 3 chairs as well.
No,
Boom.
all the physics bugs detract enough as it is. But yeah, actually, I haven't had a crash.
It's not a bug, Pedro. It's a feature.
I haven't had a single crash.
Wait, this is from
yet.
Microsoft?
Yes.
I haven't had a
Microsoft
single
Code
crash yet on
Simulator.
the calculator running Corora 2064-bit with an AMD Radeon 5650 HD. Even with the open source drivers, granted, I had to tone everything down to get a playable frame rate, but no crashing. I only have to ding it a chair because it does not save progress. So 3 chairs for me.
3 chairs for mix with the working. That's a decent start. Shiny sounds, then
Let's
stone.
take a look at some of these shinies and sounds. It looks a lot better than I was.
My eyes are
now
like sparkling.
I want the Mexican hat and sunglasses. But, no, the shiny and sounds, I don't know what I can say about the soundtrack negatively, because it kind of blew my brain organ. I didn't cut it off. Right, it's just, it feels like the right theme music for your motorist destructive goat of goatiness. And it just works. 100%. Explosions, they go splody. People scream effectively. Good with that. Got a chubby off that. And since I'm the only one here with a graphics card made in the last 2 years, with everything on 11, minus motion blur. Now, even with motion blur on, completely playable. There's frame slowdown, but not like fuck you. Oh, jerk, jerk, jerk. So you're at like the top of the crane, and you pan around. You notice a bit of a frame drop, but outside of that, 3,000% playable. But one thing you cannot do not even think for one moment about enabling MSAA. That'll fuck you up. That'll take you to 2.
What's that then?
I said that'll fuck you up.
I said, well, no, MSAA for the chillins at home.
Well, it's kind of like a anti-aliasing system, Jordan, if you really want to know. That doesn't work very well with this game.
It doesn't work very well in Linux, period.
And there's a big warning when you enable it. It's like, don't do this, fucker, or you're a moron. And I went, yep, let's enable that.
It's like, oh, well, I'm a moron, derp.
Then I thought it froze. You know, I was Control Alt F2, dropped TTY, and I was like, I'm almost killed. Then I heard that it did something. I was like, what? Control F1, Control F7, let's bring the screen back. And I was like, nope, still froze. And I went to file the bug, read about it. It does drop it to like 0 to 3 frames a second. And this is using the latest NVIDIA beta drivers on the 770s. So all things mashed and considered, I'm going to give this 3 chairs. I didn't really have a legitimate issue with anything.
That fucking goat model, man. That goat texture is just creepy. It's dead eyes staring at you. It's like it wants to eat your soul. Well, like I said, on the NVIDIA box, this thing runs stupidly well. But most of the chairs I'm dinging it come from the AMD side because you like Pedro said, you basically have to crank everything to bare minimum if you're gonna run this on an AMD card. Period. The music was interesting. It does very much seems like sort of a rampagey music, but I decided to throw on some goat horror because I figured that was some appropriate music for this style of game. That being said, no real issues. It's an Unreal 3 game. It looks like an Unreal 3 game. Some of the people look generic, but half of it is like the design intention of this game. So I don't know how much I can ding it versus this is what it's supposed to look like.
It is very hard to criticize.
It is very hard to criticize in that regard. So I'm going to give it the middle of the road score, 2 chairs.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same boat because Unreal Engine 3 is second only to Unity when it comes to lack of optimization. And if you happen to be running on low-end software like an APU or a 5-year-old laptop, such as my case, hardware, so yeah.
Well, you can always just download more RAM and be fine.
Yeah, I'm gonna download some more RAM. Maybe it'll help. But to even get a remotely playable frame count on my end, I had to turn just about every graphical enhancement off. The only thing I could keep in the pretty was the texture quality and the physics. Those two are all the way up in the pretty department. Everything else is off. And that's even the only way you can get a constant 30 frames per second, at least on my end. So for me, I can't give it any more than 2 chairs.
All right, well, that's 2 chairs for Shiny and Sans. Now comes the fun part. Control! Then.
Unlike these two heathens, I would only ever think for 1 second to play a first-person goat with just a keyboard and a gerbil. Wouldn't even bother with a controller.
Make that
It's
the
a
one
third-person
heathen because
goat.
I don't care.
Shut up, Joe. No issues with the keyboard and gerbil, as I was saying. Accelerate, not a problem. I didn't have to, and I have one of the EP Extender Turbo 3000 gerbils from Logic Crap. No issues with that. Didn't have to modify a thing. Didn't have to adjust sensitivity. Boom. Done. And yes, there's some clipping issues, but it's this goat simulator. I mean, I have gotten myself stuck, but that was immediately followed by, what the fuck were you thinking, Vin? You shouldn't have tried that. Of course you're stuck. Of course you have to reset it now. So, nothing. 4 chairs, man. Straight up deserves it.
Yeah, keyboard mouse control is pretty much flawless. Biking takes a bit of getting used to, but that's more the intent of the game. So I decided first time I booted this game up, I'm gonna play it on the big TV. Just enjoy big old goat simulator fest. Maybe hook up some local multiplayer because that's all it has right now, and have some fun with a roommate. So the problem is there are certain things that your goat kind of require. The goat requires certain controls that are not present on a controller. They exist on the keyboard, but they're just not mapped to your Xbox controller here. And that's a bit troublesome when you say want to do flips or stick your tongue onto things or ram things even. I actually won one of the goat fights by just jumping and going ragdoll until the guy died. I got the super goat doing that. It was using the controller, so I feel pretty awesome. But other than that, I mean, no real issues with the controls. Just the honestly controller support. If you're gonna have controller support, period, at least make it work. 3 chairs.
You know, I will have to ding it a chair. That's not even because it doesn't support controllers. It's because with my Diablo 3 Steel Series mouse, it has 2 modes. Oh my god, look at me so twitchy. And slide mouse off the desk to look slightly to the right. Gesundheit.
Super jaded.
So yeah, even with the DPI changing thing here, I can't seem to find an ideal one because it's either super twitchy, you so much as nudge the mouse, it'll do a 360, or you literally have to go all the way to the end of the desk just to be able to slightly turn around. So I can't give it 3 chairs for me.
All right, that's 3 chairs for controls, and I feel another sneeze coming along. coming up next, Ben, fun. Go.
Fun. Look at it, this classic trailer right here. How do you not have fun with this? This is fun incarnate, the fucking game. You get to play a goat, and you really feel like it's right when you're running around. You're like, I'm a goat. You really get in the mindset of a goat, which I imagine the mindset of a goat is just utter and sheer mayhem, because that's what I'm doing. And fantastic time. I mean, I know it's a physics demo that has kind of evolved into a real game. And for me, it's like getting the acetylene tanks and dragging a few hundred of them, below the crane and jumping off the crane and hitting that. And you're in for a good surprise when the game pauses for a few seconds.
It's just trying to determine what it needs to do. It's
trying to figure out, what have you created and what do I need to do for this? Then you reach for the moon. And today I was futzing around with it, and I had, the ball shooter thing on my back, plus the jetpack. And I had also enabled, Dova Goat. So, potatoes. I was just having no point, just walking around, fucking things up. And for me, the 12-year-old had a ginormous chubby. Complete fun. Fantastic. I'm really looking forward to being able to get into the other levels. I know Ryan will eventually get around to sorting that, hopefully before I'm in the home. But even with those issues, for fun, I'm going to give it 4 chairs.
Yeah, this game is surprisingly deep for what it actually is. This is supposed to be like a fuck you April Fool's joke. And all the little situations you can put your little goat in are very well thought out. The scenarios are intuitive. You know that you need to drag people to the fucking Satan circle in order to become Devil Goat. The goals are very clearly laid out for you, and it gives you enough of an idea of what you need to do to accomplish anything, but you still have to go and do it. Plus, honestly, I thought I'd maybe get about 15 minutes of enjoyment out of this game, and I keep finding myself starting it up again and wanting to fuck around. This game is, like Ben said, it is fun incarnate. You cannot be angry while playing this game. So I'm gonna give that 4 chairs.
Things. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it is fucking destroying shit in mayhem, the game. How can you not enjoy that?
Because
Pedro.
fuck the police.
And Pedro's gonna tell you how.
Yeah. So here's the thing. The game is charming, I'll give it that. The whole bugs being features thing, I could get into that. I've played more than enough buggy games. Skyrim, for instance. Fallout 3. Bethesda games in general are buggy by definition, and they're pretty fun, and this game is pretty fun. Until you get to the point where, in less than 2 minutes, you have to restart the map, and again, remember, it doesn't save progress. You have to restart the map for the 3rd time because the road became ethereal and your goat keeps falling off the map. It's okay. I can handle bugs. It's just that Jordan said people can't be angry while playing this game. No, but they can be frustrated. And I got frustrated. And as far as the port goes, yeah, Unreal Engine 3, XCOM Enemy Unknown is the better port in this particular competition. Sorry, Ryan. So for me, it gets 2 chairs for the fun.
Are you honestly comparing a AAA game to Goat Simulator? What the fuck is wrong with you?
He just did, Brad. He just did.
I compared
some
the
fucking
port
professional
itself.
help.
I didn't compare the games. The games are
Shut
completely
your
different. It
goddamn
was the
heathen mouth
port.
as I summarize this section. 3 chairs for fun. Wrap this shit up. Put a nice little goat bow on it. This is a 2-chair game for final score. Gentlemen, final thoughts.
Well, that's going to be a not sure if what, sir. But final thoughts. Love it. And something I should have brought up is just the replay value will be infinite with this because there's a workshop for it already. And there's Mind Goat. That's another brilliant thing. And if we ever get online multiplayer with this, with health meters,
That's like native Linux Skyrim level time sync.
yes.
Yeah.
That's the time sync I don't even want to think about. And when I even get mildly bored, what I did today, and I was like, I wonder how many achievements I unlocked. Then I was like, view all achievements. And I was reading, and I saw like 2 or 3, and I was like, fuck all, I'm getting that one. That's mental. Let's go do that, Vin. That sounds like a brilliant idea. So I had fun with it. I am going to give this 2 chairs with an asteroid because it kind of on lower end systems and older systems, you're probably going to have some serious issues with it. It does have some genuine issues, even though it's not out of beta. It is fuck mothering freshly out of beta. So you're still going to see some really gaping, pounding
Gaping.
giggity holes in it. I still got to say, pick it up. You have a moderate system. If it's on sale right now. Definitely pick it up. You're always going to have it forever. It's something you're always going to be able to go back to and talk about with J-Man.
It's DRM free, so you can just pick this game up out of its Steam apps folder and throw it on any PC. It's great. Yeah, buy this fucking game. It is way too much fun. I had a blast playing it. I had been waiting for this game to come out on Linux for so long, and when it did, I was so happy. Yeah, that's really it. This game is fun on a bun. I think this game is more deserving of 3 cheers, but then we have our lone dissenting opinion.
The lone dissenting opinion comes from someone who actually, used to review games professionally back in 2006 through 2008.
Oh, is that another company that you work for that you got killed?
No, the magazine went out of business, but it happens. It was an actual print magazine, so yeah, it was bound to happen.
You should
But
join
here's
a
the thing.
distribution
This game-
project.
Yeah.
As far as YouTube,
I hear good
bait-
things about this Fuduntu distribution.
as far as YouTube bait games go, this one's pretty good. It would be deserving of 4 chairs if it wasn't so frustrating with the bugs. Okay, some of the bugs are pretty fun. It actually got some genuine laughs out of me. I'm not denying that, and I would have given it 3 chairs if the last time I tried to play it, I didn't have to restart the map 3 fucking times in less than 2 minutes because the fucking roads simply became immaterial. So I can't.
That sounds like a personal problem. Coming up next, hate mail and illiteracy. Running and producing a free show turns out to be really fucking expensive. So if you head on over to linuxgamecast.com/podcast, or just click on the podcast link on linuxgamecast.com, you can click on any number of our donato buttons here. A recurring donation of about $3.50 or $10 a month gets you a producer credits and access to our show notes. And if you can't afford a recurring donation and just want to throw us a one-time wet stinky donation, you can totally do that. Get put in our glorious Linux Gaming Master Race credit and on the Wall of Shame on our website. So check that out. Give us some money. We need it. We wants it bad.
And guess what? It's your favorite segment, at least according to our statistics, which we never ran. It's the hate mail. And just a quick reminder, because apparently there are some people out there who just don't get it. If you'd like to get in touch with us, do fill out the form over at linuxgamecast.com. Just push the contact button, fill out the form. Just remember, if you're trying to, let's say, promote your Kickstarter campaign, include a Linux demo. Otherwise, we're not going to...
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
We're not going to talk about your game. In fact, we will put a little segment on our hate mail section and make fun of you and your game and everything else we can think of at the time. Sound reasonable? All right.
Tonight on Hate Mail in the world.
Stubbs! It's Stubby.
Stubbs, he writes,
Stubby.
hello, Vin. I'm wondering if you ever considered having a guest on the LinuxGameCast. My YouTube channel is finally starting to... I want to plug shit on your show. I feel I could contribute to some discussions, not all about... some about Linux, gaming on Linux. I hope to hear from you soon about the possibility. Here's the dice. I was going to let's come up with some list, requirements for co-hosts, and I really thought about it. We don't bring on a lot of guests. We have the capability. Infinitely. I could probably easily add 3 more people to the show. Just the thought of switching that hurts my brain organ. But, adding a 4th person is doable. Normally what we have is guest host. Our go-to is going to be Sandy, but we have a short list.
Everyone likes a little bit of Dick.
We got Dick T, Mr. Mango. He's hanging out in there. And if Tom Mothering Brown calls me up and he's like, yo, Big V, that's what he calls me. And he's like, I want to be. And I was like, you're on the show, man. Done.
He gave us one of these.
I know. That's kind of where I'm going. People who are constantly in the chat realm that we talk to on the G+, on the Twitters, that we know that are involved with everything. One thing that we're not huge on is hey, you didn't even include a link to your YouTube channel, so I have no idea. You might have 1 billion views, but that really wouldn't matter because, come on to plug your stuff. No, I don't know about that, but get in the community, join us. Definitely. I'm not saying you have to give us any wet stinkies, donate, or recurring subscribers, but that really puts you on.
Make yourselves known to us at least.
Known, but anybody that is that short list right there, because that means that you are financially invested in the show. You are our boss. So when you say, "Hey, I'd like to come on. Maybe I want to get a project I want to plug," and you're helping us out. You know what we're going to do? We're going to give you that hand job. So. Definitely on that business, but I think you have a small list of people that you found acceptable without any of the aforementioned requirements.
Yeah. So if you are one of the following people, you will get on the show scot-free. Richard Stallman, Gaben, Bill Gates, Michael Rooker, Lucky Yates, Edward James Olmos, Buck Angel, David Hewlett, Stephen Fry, Hugh Laurie, Peter Dinklage, Billy West, Liz Quilty, the cast of Stargate SG-1, and the developers of Gone Home.
I was going to make a bit, when the list was slightly shorter, I was going to make a bit about how misogynistic we are, because it didn't include any women. Well, not entirely anyway. So, now I can't, so thanks for that.
Your bit sucks. Up next, we got mail about the G-Bug. This is from G Tux TV. He says...
Well, hang on. I want to say what this is about. He was talking about, some of the bugginess, because last week we were talking about betas and Goat Simulator being beta and just being really buggy. Go ahead.
So, G-Tux says, I think Icklebutts has too many projects at the same time. Patches come slow, open quote, or open parentheses, Sanctum 2, close quote, or close parentheses. Some games released unplayable, Dungeon Defenders. Some games will never get bug-free. Kidding, Flua. And years ago, he does really good work, but now he often makes banana software. We call it so in Germany. Ven, what is banana software in German?
Yeah, I was gonna ask that.
What's the word for that?
I'm trying to think of the. I would have to consult on that because there's one I don't want to get stomped on.
Fair enough. It's an odd term. It probably has some.
That's beyond my 10th grade
Hitler
vocabulary level right now.
But you know what? To be fair, once upon a time, Iculus, as we said earlier, was the Linux gaming industry. These days you got guys like Flibit, you got companies like Aspire and
Feral.
Feral. I was going to say Firaxis, but that's just another publisher. But yeah, no, I can. It certainly does look like he takes a lot on his plate. Yeah, sometimes the releases are a bit, but overall, I think he does a very good job of porting games.
Sometimes, maybe kind of sort of. I mean, especially in the early days. And, you know, I love Ryan. I'll pop that cock in my mouth anytime. He does seem sometimes take on more.
I actually, just as a side, Linux Nuru, that actually makes perfect sense. Continue.
You look at like the
Swahili.
first Linux port of Braid. I mean, it was billions of years ago in the future's past before it had controller support. It simply was. And like bug requests, you know, to Iculus about that being an issue were fucking ignored. And that's a real thing. That was a real problem. I had that problem. That's why I never really played Braid, and it finally got controller support. Things are better now. Now we have SDL2 and all that shit. But I mean, the guy does good work, and he is slow about it. But then again, I mean, he is still 95% of the Linux gaming industry. P-Man?
Yeah, as far as big name, like before the Feral guys came along and ported XCOM, you wanted an Unreal Engine 3 game ported, or any Unreal Engine period, he could probably do it. It wasn't until
wait, Papa and Yo.
Papa
Yo, yeah, but that was the dev itself. The dev itself actually managed to port that game. It had some problems, but it was a decent enough port. But when it comes to Unreal Engine games, Iculus is your guy.
And I'm going to be honest, like Unity, I can spot a U3 game the second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you need your Unity Engine 3 game or you want to port it, talk to Iculus. He can probably do it. It may take a while because, like Jordan and Vince said, he does take on a lot of projects at one time. So,
And where can you track him then?
Iculus.org, man. Oh, you mean Trello?
Trello, that's
my favorite stalking service, because you can see exactly what, and you get like little quotes. Is like, it's shipped, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
I know you're watching.
But you know, it's quite the relief when you finally ship. It's like holding in a very massive shit for a number of hours and then finally just passing that. It's the best feeling ever. And now,
reading comprehension.
Yes,
literacy.
Some people do not know how to read.
From Ms. Gerska.
No, I got to give this one to P-Man because I did not know the history, because I forgot about the first note they sent us, and this one I didn't even forward to P-Man.
Yeah, no, she sent
they
that
sent
to everyone, actually.
An email actually dedicated to me the first time around. And Miss Alice Gerska, this is the second time you've gotten in touch with us. And apparently the email I sent you the first time, well, the email conversation we had.
Tell us about that first time.
So the first time she was like, oh, we have a Kickstarter launching for a game, which we're not going to mention. And we would like you to feature it on your show. And I'm like, okay, you got a Linux prototype? Oh, no, the game is going to be released on Mac and Windows. At first, we're getting Kickstarter so we can finish the game and release the Linux version. Okay, so you don't have a Linux prototype. No. Oh, so you do know that we don't feature Kickstarter campaigns without a prototype or a demo or something. Oh, yes, we do, but we were hoping you would open an exception in our case. No.
So she actually jumped on the train to Nipsville and said, let's choo-choo, motherfucker.
Precisely,
motherfucker,
because yesterday we got an email. And this is Ven's email, and she said, "Dear Ven,"
it's actually personalized to each of us too. It each has her name on
Yep. My name is Alice Gerska. I'm the PR executive of some game studio from Kiev, Ukraine. I have written to you already when our studio launched the Kickstarter campaign for the game we're not going to mention. I think it will be interesting for your audience that we added gameplay shots and explanations in our presentation update. Okay, so apparently you didn't get the message because you still don't have a Linux demo.
Reading's expensive, you know.
Uh-huh. And when I went to your press website, it clearly states PC/Mac. Fuck you people. Fuck your game. Just fuck right off.
And seriously, when I was looking at this, I'm like, we're a team from the San Francisco, because apparently being from the Bay Area is the new hot sauce. No, they're not. They're all in the Ukraine. And then I went to their Kickstarter, and yes, it says Mac and PC, which means Mac and Windows from this lot, because that's about how...
Do they actually have an under construction banner on their website?
Yes! I was
What
getting...
the fuck?
Then I went to their website. It was like... But when I went to it, it was like it was in fucking Moonsville, because it took half an hour to load. It hit me with like running at 24 whatever baud back in the day, and I was like, wow, that's I don't really know what to say to this other than what don't you get? I mean,
the picture looks cool.
No gameplay footage whatsoever on the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
No
the Kickstarter
actual
video has no gameplay footage.
No work on this game has actually been done. This does not pass the sniff test. And for that, you're going to be the first entry in our new Spin the Wheel of Booger Booger Tick 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 Wall of Shame. Yes, that's what we're going to call it. And you will be our first entry. Because we're going to hang that out there as, and it's going to have a little clip of this video as a response to your email, and your game will not be linked. It will be censored out and replaced with Goatsy.
Yes.
Yeah. So I figure we Ned Stark this email.
Chop it off at the bits, and that sounds like a proper bombshell. To cue the music so you can find us every week, we are at LinuxGameCast.com. And the other 6 days of the week when we're not live, Chat Room Static. That's brilliant. This is Cocaine Voltron Light. They're not there, but we are. And get in there, scream in our direction. We will scream back in yours. And as always, join us live in Chat Realm Dynamic. We're the greatest, the trollest of trolls, the worst of the worst, the darkest demon zombie hordes of the internets. Help us form Cocaine Voltron. And you can always find me at Vinstone on the Twitter nets, plus Vinstone on the G pluses, and one of my main gentlemen. How you doing, bud?
Well, not bad. You can find me PC only at The Burning Fool on Twitter, or Mac only on Pluster and Swung on the Google Plus.
So apparently I only run on Raspberry Pis, and you can find me at Unaccounted For on Twitter, or plus Pedro Mateos on Google Plus.
Only on Plan 9 for the Raspberry Pi.
Yes.
which is totally a thing, by the way. You should definitely check out that
I know.
of course
it's fucking cool that they got it to work, period.
So, this is an old one, but a good one. Dynafy, lovely people. This is Wave.
Peace out.
Peace. Yo.
Live long and Dynafy.
Yeah.
Best side, yo.
No, I really liked it. When P-Man's trying to talk about the Raspberry Pi, his band goes to shit, and I was like, so what are you running Skype on there?
Raspberry Pi?